Hello everyone and welcome to Oriana Unlock. I am Oriana and on this channel we are going to be diving deep in order to unlock new knowledge on topics that truly matter. And today I'm very happy because we're going to be unlocking new knowledge on a topic that I don't only love but that I also take an active part in. I am a piano student, but apart from that, today I'm honored to be joined by a pillar of the Venezuelan piano music world, Maestro Carlos Urbaneja. A graduate of the Guildhall School and Trinity College in London, Maestro Urbaneja has bridged the European traditions with our Venezuelan musical identity. As a soloist, chamber musician, and high-level piano educator, his influence on el concurso al piano venezolano has truly been vital for preserving our Venezuelan music heritage. As a student of the instrument myself, I am more than honored to be with him today discussing, the discipline, the passion, and the skill required to master the keys. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Maestro Carlos Urbaneja. Maestro Urbaneja, thank you so much for being here with us today. It is truly a privilege to have you here, and welcome to Oriana Unlock.
It's my pleasure, Oriana. Thank you for having me.
Maestro, you have been a bridge between the European traditions, you studied in London, and of course our own Venezuelan music roots. In your experience, how does the technical approach to the piano differ between the rigid European conservatories to our more organic school of playing here in Venezuela?
Well, I couldn't really say there is a difference, a substantial difference. I mean, I teach my students, through the classical repertoire, which I think is, crucial, basic to for your development as a pianist and a musician. Then on top of that, we add, in our example, in our case, the Venezuelan repertoire, which enriches. Of course, it's something important for us because it's related to our own identity, and we can bring to it something very personal and special. And that, of course, enriches our whole experience of being pianists. But yes, there is no real difference between the way we develop as pianists here as opposed to Europe and the United States, other places.
You've been a major advocate for el concurso al piano venezolano. Many students focus on just studying the classical composers like Bach, Beethoven, or even Chopin. But why do you think it is vital for a young pianist development to master the rhythmic complexities of Venezuelan composers?
Well, as I said before, I mean the base for the development of a pianist is mainly on the classical repertoire, on the great masters of the piano, Bach, Mozart, Chopin, Beethoven, etc., etc., etc. But then, of course, well, I'm going to answer the same thing again. What Venezuelan music brings to a young Venezuelan pianist is, rhythmical richness and melodic richness that adds another ingredient to how you play the instrument, and that affects, of course, the way you play, the classical composers. It's just a way of broadening your experience and the way you feel music, and adding your own personal touch, the same way a Polish pianist does, or a German pianist, or a Spanish pianist, or a French, Brazilian, from anywhere.
Reflecting on your decade at Guildhall School and Trinity College, was there a specific pedagogical philosophy there that completely changed the way you approach a new score today?
I couldn't really speak about a specific, philosophy. What I did get there was, I had two main piano teachers. One was Maria Curcio, who was an Italian, who was a student of Arthur Schnabel. So she already had both the Italian, school and the German school. And then Joan Havel, who was a lady from New Zealand, is a lady from New Zealand, she's still alive. and who studied with several teachers. Louis Kentner, who was from Hungary, and Vlado Parlemute, who was from France. Well, he originally comes from Lithuania, but he made his career in France as a student of Maurice Ravel, no less. So what she gave to me was this, multiple perspective of piano playing and music making that really, really was very important for me. And then, of course, I added my own. And so, yeah, I think it's very, very important. Well, I should also mention my teacher in Venezuela, Harriet Serra, who came from the Russian school. So yes, you have this mixture of piano schools that is very, has been wonderful for me, because you take a bit from here, you take a bit from there, and then you build up your own approach to the piano and to music in general.
Beyond the hours of physical practice, which is of course very important, how much of your interpretation comes from historical research? And for a music student, how important is it for us to understand the political and social context of a composer before we even play the first note?
Yes, well, I don't know about before you even play the first note, but of course it is very, very important that you know the historical context that the composer you're going to interpret lived in. And not only that, but all the things that were happening around that time in all the other arts, in literature and in painting. And it's very, very important because it's a whole. You cannot isolate music from all these other expressions of artistic expressions. And of course the historical context plays a part as well in understanding how a composer came to be what he came to be. Yeah, I would advise all students to learn a bit of history and yes, explore other arts. That's fundamental if you want to be a real artist and not just a piano player.
Education is changing. With the access we have now to master classes on YouTube and even digital scores, how do you think the pedagogy of piano teaching has evolved throughout the years?
Well, I think this latest development brought about by technology is a very important one, a fantastic tool that we can use today and that we have access to. We are very, very lucky to have that. Well, when I was young, I didn't have that. But nowadays, I'm at my age, I'm not young anymore, but I'm still learning because I too have access to all those, wonderful artists that you can find on YouTube, for example. And you can not only hear them play, but you can hear them talk and give master classes, teach, all those things that I profit enormously from that. And of course young students should as well. I mean, that's a fantastic tool they have at their disposal that you should take advantage of. So we're very lucky in that.
For those of us looking at high-level conservatories abroad, the standard is of course incredibly high. From your perspective as a teacher, what is the skill that we, for example, Venezuelan piano students, must master in order to succeed in the international stages?
Well, of course, discipline, which is crucial in order to succeed as a pianist here or anywhere. And if you're a young student, aspiring to continue your studies abroad, you have to prepare yourself very well because the competition is tough. You can have a very, very high level of, as a pianist, but we have to understand that, at any given conservatory, during auditions, there may be 100 people applying for a place, but only 5 places available. So yes, we need to be very disciplined, to study a lot, to try to find, a very personal way of expressing ourselves, which will, set us apart from the rest. That will possibly, if we're lucky, call the attention of someone in the jury. And and then we need to have an ingredient of luck as well, which is very important in this profession.
The landscape of classical music in Venezuela has faced multiple challenges. What do you believe is the responsibility of this new generation of Venezuelan pianists to ensure that our musical heritage doesn't disappear?
Well, of course, I, as a representative of the concurso El Piano Venezolano, the advice I would give all Venezuelan pianists is to explore our own, music written for the piano. In general, all Venezuelan music, popular music as well, played in our instruments, the cuatro, etc., etc. But we have a very, very rich piano repertoire which we should explore, and that encompasses many, many styles, from popular music to more academic music, and which is a beautiful repertoire. Which, I mean, that when you play that in Europe or in the United States, outside of Venezuela, people are very, very attracted to that music because it's beautiful music, has very distinct personality, rhythmic personality, melodic personality, which is very attractive. Like the music from so many other places, but we have our own. So it is our duty and our luck to have this fantastic repertoire which we can include in our recital program.
Lastly, Maestro Urbaneja, many piano students may feel like sometimes school and other extracurricular activities take their time away from enjoying their instrument. Could you please give piano students some advice for when they feel like their motivation is down? What is your advice for us to keep developing our passion for music?
Well, just always remember what brought you to the piano and to music in the first place. And try to remember, what made you feel, God, I want to do this. And, and keep that, desire and that passion burning. Only that will, get you through all the difficult times, which will be there. Whether you're young or whether you're a professional pianist, you will always face difficulties, but you must always remember why it is that you decided to be a musician, and that will ignite that spark again.
Well, thank you so much, Maestro Urbaneja, for being here today with us, for your time, for sharing your knowledge, your insights, and your passion with us. It has truly been a privilege. Thank you for showing us how important Venezuelan music is still today. I feel like sometimes people ignore how important our folklore is, and for showing us that Venezuelan music can open a lot of doors for us. Additionally, thank you so much for your advice to us pianists. It is truly a privilege to have insights from such an important person in the piano world like you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today with us. And thank you all very, very much for watching. If you liked this conversation as much as I did, and if you unlock new knowledge, which I'm sure I did, please do not hesitate on subscribing to the channel, hitting the like button, ring the notification bell, and of course, follow me on all of my social media accounts at Oriana Unlock on Instagram and on TikTok, so that you never miss out on a new opportunity to unlock new knowledge. Thank you so much, Maestro Urbaneja, for being here today with us, and thank you all very much for watching. As I always say, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep unlocking your full potential. I will see you all very, very soon. Bye!